Tiny living isn't just about the size of house that you live in. It's about a number of things. There are different parts of the puzzle that complete the whole picture. One of the most important pieces of this puzzle is homesteading and farming. Basically, producing your own food or being sustainable when it comes to food. And that's the reason why we are starting up a segment that focuses on farming, small scale farming or homesteading. And today we are in Ongata, Rongai, checking out a young man who's doing poultry farming to learn a thing or two. And hopefully I'll learn enough to add poultry to my space. Welcome to Living Tiny, Growing Abundantly.
So my name is Noel Mwironganga Jr. I am a fourth year civil engineering student at the University of Nairobi, and I am a poultry farmer. So the first thing we do is when we come here is biosecurity is absolutely critical in any poultry business, and in ideally any agribusiness model. Biosecurity is very important. So the first thing that I do whenever I enter here is change my shoes. You've seen I've left the shoes I was wearing outside and changed into these ones, and then dipped my foot in this dip here. This dip has disinfectant and water in a ratio of 1:100. This is our structure. This is where we are building the nation from. This is our banner. Our business name is Jolly's Footprints Limited. And this building is 3 floors high. Three floors. So this bottom floor, the first one, and then of course the topmost one, which we'll get to. Now this bottom section is divided into 2 brooders. This first one here is called Jolly Brooder 4. This is one of the brooders that we have, where when we got our chicks, our day-old chicks, when we bring them in, we keep them here, we raise them up to the 3-week mark, and then we dispatch them off to all the farmers that want our chicks. What we actually keep here, by the way, I think a lot of people are not very familiar with this brand. This chicken is called F1 commercial croll, as you can see here. F1 commercial croll, and as you can see from the picture of this jogo here, it is ideally your local kienyeji bird. Is the bird that you've learned to love as we're growing up. The bird that we see randarandaing around everywhere. This is ideally the bird. The only difference is that this kienyeji bird is a more formalized version of the kienyeji bird. So its name is Croiler, and it was originally developed in India, and it was created by crossbreeding different strains of birds. So you'll find that this bird is just your ordinary kienyeji bird, but the only difference is that it has the egg laying ability of your ordinary layer bird. It has the meat production of your broilers, and the hardiness now, which is the final thing now, the hardiness of your local indigenous bird. So ideally you're getting 3 in 1. Yeah. Now this way, coming with me this way, this is where we keep. This is our store now. This is where we keep, as you can see even from these things here. This is where we keep this is our store. It's where we keep tools, feeds, anything that you need to keep anything the chicken. Let me just open it for you to see. Right now it doesn't have feed because it's being cleaned, but as you can see, it's being cleaned. And that's why we keep the feeds, everything. Yes. Now, come with me this way. This is called Vinod Brooder 1. This is our second brooder on the lower level. This is where we also keep chicks, just like in the first brooder that I had shown you before, Jolly Brooder 4. But this one is called Vinod Brooder 1. We also keep chicks here. The chicks that grow a bit older, we dispose of them, or some of them that are left, we can keep them here. So for now, since we're clearing up the space, we've decided to keep a few chickens here before they go. Yes. So as you'll see, of course, it's a bit messy. It's because we've just cleared it up. But here what we'll do is, once we dispose of these ones, we'll bring in more.
What do you use to brood? What's your source of heat?
Now, I think I'll talk about that when we go upstairs. Okay. I'll show you when we go upstairs. This is, unfortunately, right now, at the moment, there is currently no azole. It's because we are currently in the process of changing out this water and replacing it entirely. So unfortunately it's a bit red and there's no actual azolla here.
Yeah.
But what we do is, then there's the question of high feed costs,
Yes.
and being able to feed your chickens
Yes.
sustainably.
Yes.
Is it profitable? Nini, nini. But what we keep here now is that azolla. Azolla, what it is it's a type of plant that grows on treasure. For people who are soma sana, it's called an aquatic fern. Now, that aquatic fern, what you do is you come and collect it with, where is that thing? Okay, it's not here, but you come and collect it, you come and scoop it every day, and then ukisanya hivyo, you go and feed it to your chickens in addition to the feed. So you see, by supplementing it with this, you're reducing the amount of feed that you're giving to the chickens themselves, and you're also reducing the cost of input that you're putting into the chicken business as a whole.
Do you have to weigh when you harvest?
When you
Before
no, no,
feed
no, no,
your
actually
chicken?
it's so simple. You know what we do here, like this is just a, if you look at this from down here, it's basically just a tub that we've constructed,
Yes.
with polythene and
Wood.
and a wooden frame.
Yes, yes.
So you come and construct just a tub like this. You come, it actually comes in a very small kasuku like this, something
Yes.
as a small container like this size.
Yes.
You come, fill the tub with water, put some cow dung, of course, for nutrition of the, so that the azolla itself can have its nutrients.
Yes.
You come, then you put the azolla in a corner like there,
Uh-huh.
and you leave it.
And then it will spread.
It will spread like madness. It doubles its biomass in like 2 days.
Ah.
Yeah, it doubles its biomass in like 2 days. So in just that 2 days, you'll find if you had put it in that corner, maybe it has filled up to maybe like this section. And then as you go, it starts from there. It reaches all the way to the end.
And do I need to change this water over time?
No. As we are doing it, because the azolla we had, it had stayed a bit too long.
Yeah.
So of course, after some time, maybe you need to replace it, do a new batch. Yeah.
And before we move to the next level, is there a reason why you have climbers?
Yes, we have climbers because for this azolla, exposing it to direct sunlight is not recommended, because it will start to brown out and then it will stop becoming. It will stop growing, because it will start to die. So these climbers here are used as a natural shade.
Okay.
Yeah, we use them as a natural shade for the azolla down here.
Okay.
Yes.
And
So a
these
lot of people-
climbers, is it food?
this is actually grapes. I wish it
okay.
was food, but but it's actually just a grape plant. Unfortunately, grapes take very, very long to grow, and
Yeah.
we also don't know how to grow grapes.
Yes.
I don't think it's that developed in our country, maybe,
Yes.
or maybe it's me who doesn't know. But this is just it's just your grapevines going all the way to the top, so we use it as a natural shade for the azolla.
Okay. Before
Yes.
we go to the next floor, what material have you used to build your structure, and what size is it?
So this structure is built of ideally purely timber, as you can see here. The doors are timber,
Yeah.
the frame is timber, just the bottom slab. The bottom slab is made of concrete, first of all, because concrete is more durable than using one singular timber floor.
Yeah.
And also to prevent rats from coming in from the bottom. And also when you use the concrete as well, concrete also helps in that heat insulation from the bottom. If you use a timber structure, wind and all sorts of different temperature conditions, they can easily affect your bird. So we use that concrete because it helps to regulate that temperature from the bottom.
Do you also
Yes.
line the floor with sawdust?
Yes, not actually. So it's actually called wood shavings. But
Okay.
us personally, we don't use wood shavings. We use something called rice husks. It's the one when you go. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's called rice husks. Anywhere where ukiona mchele inavunwa, penye inachotwa, that dried up rice husk,
Yes.
you come and collect it and then you use it instead of wood shavings, because the way they make wood nowadays, it's extremely treated, it's hyper treated,
Yes.
it's hyper everything.
Yes.
So we prefer to use rice husk, first of all, because it dries faster.
Yeah.
And you see in chicken brooder, if you go in there, you'll see that it's very dry. There's literally no moisture, or even if it is, it's very little. That's very important, because that moisture allows bacteria to grow. So if you use that rice husk, it dries up quickly and ensures that you don't have as much moisture as compared to wood shavings.
Okay.
Yes.
Most people who do poultry farming struggle with rodents, as you said, the
Yes,
rats.
yes.
How do you control that?
If you look at, when you go inside, I'll show you, but if you look at the corners, first of all the corners are rounded, and we make sure there is no singular dark corner. Some people, when they construct their poultry house, they build a structure with all sorts of dark corners everywhere, all sorts of places for the rodents to hide. But rodents don't hide in bright daylight like this. They like dark corners. So when you ensure that there's no dark corners, and there's no like little gaps in between your structures, the rodent problem is eliminated. Of course, maybe you can get one or two, but now that one is solvable through poison, rat poison, and traps and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So coming up the floor, we have this roof here. This roof here, actually, the azolla, of course, it's a plant and it consumes its own water. So we constructed this mabati roof in this way, so that any sort of rainfall or any sort of water, any sort of precipitation, when it comes down, it flows down this mabati all the way into the azolla. That way you never have a problem of topping up the water or anything like that. That's why we constructed it in this way.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see the climbers up here, they come all the way from down there to up here. Here is, as you can see here, it's a bit faded, but it's VP brooder too. So this is our first brooder here. As you can see here, this is where now we normally keep the chicks. So when they come here, right now we've currently cleared them out. So right now here, there's no chicks at all, because these ones are here, as you can see here. There were chicks that arrived on the 7th of September, and by the 28th, which is now the 3 weeks, which is the age that we intend to sell them, we normally clear all of them out.
So this is something you must have.
This is something. Oh yeah, for us especially, because okay, it's not like an absolute necessity, because you can also write it on your book. But then you see, when you have very many people working on your farm, maybe you have 4 farm hands or 5 farm hands, something like this also helps them to keep track. So not everybody is going to that book. When you have something like this here, it helps you to know how many chicks you have at a particular time, the vaccine that you've given them, the feeds that they have been given, and everything else.
Okay. Yes. Water. Talk to me about water.
Water. Now, just move these here. What we employ here is actually a very informal system of watering the birds. You come here, this pipe here actually leads to a bigger tank at the bottom. What we do every 2 months, we make sure that we clean the tank. The tank is cleaned with, it's called lime. So we make sure that tank is clean, so that the water that you have is absolutely perfect. Because with tanks like that, sometimes you can get grime build up, sometimes you can get maybe all sorts of crazy ecosystems in your tank that can affect very largely. It can affect the quality of the birds ideally.
Must it be soft water or even salty water is good?
We don't recommend salty. Now the problem is access to soft water all the time is not very possible. But if salty is still possible, but this is now for us what we have access to soft water, so we use soft water. But we don't recommend. If you're able to get soft water, just give them soft. Just give them soft. If you see these lines here, these pipes here, these are all gas lines. So if you look here in the center, we have a gas brooder. You see, if you look at it from the bottom, it looks just like your ordinary stove. So what you do is every time when your chicks are coming in, you have this thing that's on, and you make sure that it's on for the whole night, and that gives the chickens warmth for any time that they are cold.
How much of gas do you go through with this size of a brooder?
For us, maybe if we have maybe just this small size of brooder, 13 kg cylinder can last maybe 5 days or 6 days. 5 days or 6 days. Yes.
And at night, do you also need to have your lights on?
Yes, absolutely. When they're very young, they don't know how to find feed for themselves unless they have light. So this is why we recently installed them instead of the long brooders. The long, I know a lot of farmers, the way they see chicken, whenever they go and see any farms, they see the long wires, and then they have that, the large bulb. Yeah, the large, it's called a filament bulb. Yeah, that one. The filament bulb. But you see that one, the problem with that is that uses a lot of electricity, and keeping it on 24/7 will just rack up electricity bill for no reason. But when you use something like this one, these are actually LED bulbs, and they're just 3 watts. So even if you keep these on for the whole day, and there are only 3 of them, even if you keep them on for the whole day, the whole night, your electricity bill won't be as dramatically affected as if you have 1 bulb here, 2 bulbs there, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all over the brooder. So these ones are very good. And in addition to that, they have their light distribution is pristine, because if you have that one filament bulb, you
Yes.
have light only in this small
Yes.
circle
So
here.
you have
Yeah.
chicks
Chicks
surrounding.
surrounding here where there is light. You know, chicks don't like darkness, so you'll
Yes.
find all of them are here. And then with that, another which is what we talked about earlier was the rat problem. You
Yes.
remember?
Yes.
Rats love to hide in dark places, but ukiwa na hii, like there's light everywhere, even in these corners, crevices. See, if you look at this structure, there's no hidden places
Yes.
everywhere rats can hide, except just here where we've rounded out the corners. There's
And
nowhere rats can hide.
what damage can rodents do to your chicks?
What? The biggest, actually, one of the biggest killers of small chicks, other than, you know, disease and infection and things like that, is predators. Rats, snakes, mongoose, we call it a kashoroge or whatever it's called. Those things can really, they can murder your entire flock in just a few days,
Yeah.
especially if they come in the numbers. Because the funny thing about rats, when one rat comes, it finds its
Yes.
prey just sitting pretty
Yes.
there. It goes and calls its family members,
Yes.
its cousins, its uncles, and they
Yes.
come, and then so you find your chickens are just dying. And you know the rat doesn't eat the whole chicken.
Yes.
You find it has just eaten a very small part. Or yeah.
And now, where you intend to put your chicks, would you recommend for someone to have that room insulated?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Insulation is absolutely critical, not just for, you know, for like for the warmth of the chicks, but also for your efficiency as a farmer.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's just about keeping your chicks warm, but it's also about keeping your heat bill very low.
Yes.
You see, when you insulate, like you see us, what we've done here is we've installed plastic polythene paper on the roof. That's so that any, you know, as you know, hot air rises. So when you insulate it like this, any hot air that's developed by this gas brooder or
Yes.
those jikos which we'll talk about, any heat that's generated, it stays in the brooder, doesn't leave. But as you're doing that, also you also need to make sure that you have ventilation.
Yes.
Because carbon will kill your chickens because carbon will, you don't even know when it's in your brooder.
Yes.
You just open your brooder one morning after you woken up,
You have no chicks.
you have no chicks. All of them died because of something as simple as carbon. So we have to make sure ventilation is very important. So if you come and look here, there's a gap. There's a gap here. See, as much as we've, you know, completely insulated the roof, there's a
Yes.
small gap here to allow for, you know, minimal, so that carbon can escape.
Yes. How many chicks can you fit in this?
This
Brooder.
space, you got me at the wrong time. I don't even know the space, but ideally here what we keep when they come in is 1,500 chicks. 1,500 chicks can fit in this space, which is of course what you had seen out there.
Yeah.
This space can keep 1,500 chicks, but then as they reach the second week, now they'll need to move, which is what now you've seen, which is why you have this door here.
Yes.
If you come and look here, there's actually a door. This is actually a door. If you can see some hinges here. So when they reach the second week, we open this door and then move them now to that larger brooder.
Okay.
And now
I can estimate this space to be maybe around 12 feet by 20
maybe,
feet.
yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's actually a very accurate measurement.
Okay.
Yeah.
We
So
can now check. And
these
this.
jikos, now these jikos, we use them in the first few days, because you know in the first few days the brooder needs to be very, very warm.
Yes.
Not hot,
But warm.
but it needs to be very warm. So we use this just to supplement this one in the first few days. But of course, as time goes down, now we begin switching and relying solely on this one.
Okay.
Because
And what do you use?
this is actually I don't know. Okay, this one is a bit bomoka kidogo, but it's something called a charcoal briquette.
Okay.
It's called a briquette. It's not the ordinary charcoal. It's made out of wood ash.
Okay.
When you make this, it produces a lot less carbon and it burns for longer than the ordinary charcoal.
Okay.
Yes. So this way now is now where we have some few chicks here. I think these should be about 500 or 400. Yes. Yeah. So these chicks are 20 what days old? They are 23 days old now.
23 days. Okay.
23 days, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you calculate your feeding?
Feeding is actually very important, because that's what stops a lot of farmers from even getting into this business, because they wonder, will I be able to afford the feeds?
Yes.
Oh, these chickens, they'll eat my money before I start eating from them.
Yes.
But if you give the chickens the feed that they require, you'll realize that the chickens, first of all, are growing a lot faster than you had expected, and the money that's staying in your pocket is a lot more than you had, of course, expected. Now, these chickens, because they are just slightly above 3 weeks, what they eat is 35 grams of feed, 35 to 40 grams of feed per chick per day. But of course, as they grow and they grow and they grow, of course, it will go a bit higher. But because we know that these chickens are eating 35 to 40, let's even use 35 grams, they're eating 35 grams per day. We know that these chickens that are here, because they are 400, we'll only be giving them 35 grams times 400 every day.
Yes.
Yes.
And how many times do you feed them?
We feed them in the morning and the evening. So you can give them their first portion in the morning and then their second portion in the evening. But as they grow older, they don't need to be eating twice a day.
So it is 35 grams per feeding or 35 grams per day?
Per day.
Per day. So you divide the 35
you can
grams.
divide it into two, or you can put, you see, and the good thing with these brooders, with these feeders, sorry, is you can take that entire 35 grams for the whole day and then put it in there, and then of course as they eat, you'll dispense. Then by the time you're refilling tomorrow, it will already be over.
Okay.
You can do that, or if you have a different style of feeder, you find a lot of farmers have the troughs.
Yes.
Or they have those, the slotted troughs one with the holes and all that. What you can do with that one is you can give them their first half in the morning, then the second half in the evening. Yeah.
Why have you divided these birds?
Now we've divided them because it's something in the poultry space called grading. You see, when you're dealing with of course these are maybe a bit of a small number, but if you're dealing with very many birds, if the biggest profit killer in your business will be different variations of different variations of birds. Having not, you don't have one similar value of the scale of the birds. You find that some birds are small, some birds are big, not all the birds are the same size. So what we do is now something called grading. What we do is you take every single chick, weka kwa scale, weight. If it falls below a certain weight, you put it in a different pen. Like you see here, these chickens, when we put them in here, they were very small. They were very, very small. Before they came in here, they were tiny. But if you look at now the size of this chick now, you see, it's almost comparable to the size of these ones that were here. But when they came in here, they were helpless. They were literally on their deathbeds.
How many times do you change your drinkers? Do you wash and change your drinkers?
We wash our drinkers normally we like to do it every 2 days, but it's recommended that you do it every day. If you can every day, do it every day. But for us, because we're still using this old model where unachota maji, unafunga, sometimes it can get a bit cumbersome, and doing that every day is not. It's not very, it's a lot of work doing that every day. But as we do it every 2 days, yes.
What kind of diseases am I supposed to look out for?
Something that very, very important question actually. The biggest thing that actually, if you see here, this is not supposed to be like this, but one of the things that we look for is the quality of the fecal matter of the chicks.
Okay.
The quality of the fecal matter of the chicks. If you look at this fecal matter, even in here, in there, if you look at the quality of that fecal matter, you see it's very solid.
Yes.
It's very solid, just like, it's ideally very solid. If you start to see it becoming more watery, it has a lot of maybe blood in it, it means the first problem is your litter quality. The first problem is your litter quality. The litter quality in your brooder is absolutely terrible. You need to change it out, throw it away, or do something about it. That's the first problem. Another problem is the height of your drinkers. You see these chicks, if you look at the drinkers, you can see that they're a bit elevated.
Yes.
They're a bit elevated. They're elevated like that for a reason. It's because when they are at that bottom level, when they are literally on the level of the bird's chicks, the chicks have all the freedom to enter their drinkers and defecate in their drinkers, and other chicks come and drink that water, consume that water, and by consuming that water, they develop something called coccidiosis. A condition called coccidiosis. So you'll find that you find sometimes your chickens are tired, they're all sleeping in one corner, or not just sleeping, but you just find they look lazy. Instead of feeding, they're just sleeping there, and that's not something that should happen at all in your brooder. So as a farmer, this is how your litter quality should be. You see the way my litter quality is, it's literal dust. Of course, there's these maybe small chunks that need to be removed also, but it should literally be powdery like this. This is how all your litter should be at all times. So if that involves raking every day, you need to rake every single day.
Yes. How many times do you change your litter?
Once you bring in that litter, this litter that you're seeing here, it needs to be raked, unfortunately. You rake every day. So you have a rake, a spade or a rake down there. So what you come and do is you come and scoop and mix it up and mix it up, and by doing that, the ammonia that's trapped in the lower levels of the litter is allowed to escape, because you know ammonia when it's present in the bird's brooder,
Yeah.
it can cause a lot of respiratory infections.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you have a lot of respiratory infections, your birds will just die.
They start coughing.
They start coughing, they start falling asleep. You find all your chickens are just sleeping
Okay.
instead of feeding, and you see now that kills your productivity and your profits. Now it's like setting fire to money. Comment, they don't. So coming up with me this way, this is our third level of the chicken house, and if you remember earlier, I had said something about grading. When we bring in our next batch now, this room will already be ready. Now what we'll be doing is now the chicks that are below that set weight, because of course there'll be a lot more than those ones that we've just seen down there. What we'll do is now any chick that falls below that set weight, we will now bring it up here, and then this will become basically like a sick bay,
Yeah.
a sick bay or a grading facility,
A clinic
whatever.
for them.
Yeah, clinic. Yeah.
When you wash your drinkers, how do you use the remaining water that you find in the drinkers?
You dispose of that. You can't put that back in the drinkers. When you take that water, you pour it on the farm.
Landscaping, yeah.
Yeah, water landscaping.
Okay.
Yeah, these are our pride and joy. Our F1, because these are F1 commercial broiler. Yes, these chickens are 5 months old, and they have just started laying eggs.
Okay.
Yes. So these are our display birds when we're here, because our farm is here in Rongai.
Yes.
But our main farm is in Kajiado, and he said it's not convenient for all the farmers to go to Kajiado, because of course you know that you're from Kajiado, so you know the distance.
Yes.
So it's not convenient for very many people to be going there. But when you put these birds here, at least people have an idea of when they get those chicks that we've seen, when they get those chicks that they've seen from us,
This is how
they look after the 5 months.
Okay.
Yes. And as you can see inside there is actually a few eggs. I don't know if you can be able to see in that corner. I don't know if you can even enter if you want. I don't know if you'll be able to enter. We are in the business of hatching our own chicks and selling them to customers. Then they can go and extend the value chain at the point which they want. If they want to go and raise them for meat, they can go and do that. If they want to go and keep them for eggs, they can just as easily do that. So our primary business is chicks, so the chicks that you've seen in their houses themselves. Yes.
And one chick goes for
299 shillings.
Okay, 299. Do you also sell eggs?
We sell eggs, but that's not our main priority at the moment. That's not. But if you want eggs, we can give you eggs.
So for these eggs, would you sell them as kienyeji?
Yes, we sell them as full kienyeji eggs.
Okay.
Yes.
And currently, market price, how much is that?
Between 500 shillings to 900 to 1,000 shillings.
And for a mature bird, how much are you looking at?
For a mature bird, that chicken that's started laying or before it has started laying.
Like what you have, like the
the ones that have started laying.
Yes.
That one bird goes for 1,000 shillings for a female, and 1,500 going upwards as it goes older, because it's still increasing weight. It's just that at that 4 months the market weight is 2.5 kgs, but maybe if it goes up to the 7th, 8th, it can reach the 3s, the very high 3s, the 4s, going upwards like that. So now it depends on how at the point you decide to sell them. But at that 4-month mark going to maybe the 5th month, you sell it at 1,000 for the females, and then maybe 1,500
For the
negotiable
cooks,
for
yeah.
the cocks. Yeah.
You've mentioned the cost on gas. That's about 13
10
kg
kgs.
per.
Let's say, but it depends on how many birds you have. But for those 1,500 chicks that we had, the 13 kg gas should last maybe 5 to 6 days. Yeah,
Okay.
depending on how much you use it and how insulated your room is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Feeds, how to go about them? Do you
Yes.
buy, or for you, I know this is one of the farms you have. You have this, and then you have the
Main
more
farm. Yeah,
commercial.
yeah, yeah.
Do you make your own feeds, or do you now have to buy?
At this stage that we are in, we feel making our own feeds is not something we want to get into yet, because feed formulation is, as much as some people may think, it's just taking maize, taking soya, taking
Sunflower.
sunflower and bran and whatever, all those things that you mix in the chicken. Some people may think it's just that, but it's a lot more complex than what some people think. And for us, we've decided, before maybe we get to that phase, let's just stick to more commercial standard feed. But one thing that is an absolute guarantee is that when you start making your own feed, you'll be making crazy money, good money here.
In terms of costs, for someone who's thinking of doing poultry farming, what would you say is the biggest cost? Is it the structure? Is it the systems like what you have, water storage, electricity, or is it running your farm?
In cost ideally is maybe acquisition of the chicks. I feel like that's the biggest cost in the beginning. Of course, that will pay itself over time, but in the general operations, the biggest cost will of course be feed. In fact, the biggest determinant of whether you're in profit or not in the chicken business is feed. Feed determines whether you are making money or you're not making money. So the biggest cost I'd say is feed, but that's in general operational expenses. But in terms of running your poultry,
Or
enterprise
basically
as a
just
whole,
setting up.
yeah, the biggest cost will definitely be acquiring the chickens. We've kept chickens even in our own garage.
I think I've seen someone who, actually not someone, my brother had his chicks in one of his bedrooms.
Yeah, see. Yeah, and that bedroom sitting there, if nobody is sleeping there, it's sitting money. It's money that is just sitting there.
True. Why did you get into this?
Interesting question. Also, every farmer who comes here has to ask that question: why did you get into this? And it's because, me personally, I don't know how old do you think I am? How old, if you to take a guess?
21, 22.
22. Yes, I'm 22 years old, and I'm a fourth year engineering student at the University of Nairobi. So a lot of people, here, okay, this guy is doing a very big, but still keeping chickens. Why? Why are you doing it? But it's because, in the current, employment landscape and the current job, and
The
system
job
in the
market,
country, the broad job market in our country, you find that by the time you are able to get a job, by the time you get to that point, you've grafted for so many years. But with these chickens, if you start with just 100 chickens, go look for money somewhere. Ask your mother for money. Ask your father for money. Ask somebody for monny. Go to a bank. Tell them you want to buy 100 chickens. They'll give you money. If you're able to keep these chickens, you're able to bring in more money than if you go with that degree of yours and start looking for jobs there, camping in Jivanji the whole day, waiting and waiting and waiting. When you could just have taken these chickens, kept them in somewhere, like you said, your brother kept chickens in his bedroom, in his bedroom. If you take those chickens, keep them in a bedroom and sell those eggs every day, you're bringing in more money than you'll do in that engineering job. And if that's not possible, maybe you come from up country, go and give them to your mother. Let your mother raise your mother. If you have a good relationship with your family, your mother is not going to steal from you. And if maybe you're not keeping them even for yourself, let your mother keep them. If maybe black tax is a problem in your home,
let her feed from.
Let her feed herself.
For this structure, would you say it's enough to pay someone's bills if all I have is this structure and I maximize it? Do you think I can survive from January to December
with this? Absolutely. I've just told you one chick is 299 shillings. Those ones for 3 weeks. Now, if you do 1,500 times 300, I think you can imagine the kind of figure that you'll get from that. That's a lot of money. You can A lot of people are surviving on a lot less than that for the whole year.
Now the beauty of chickens is it
Yeah,
has ready market. You don't need
absolutely,
to find
absolutely.
market for
People,
it. I think it's the
that's
most
something very
consumed.
debatable.
You think so?
I think because a lot of people think that, well, okay, now I've got into the space, now I'll have farm chickens. People will now come looking for me. Ah, yeah,
Yes.
they are going to come knocking at your door. Do you have eggs? Do you have eggs? Just because you've bought chickens and kept them there. But just even by me talking to you, like, this is a form of marketing. And something we've started doing recently is our social media. Doing that social media is letting people know that we have chickens. If you want chickens or if you're looking for chickens, come and get them from here. Just getting yourself out there, putting yourself out there, letting people know that this is what I have, this is what the price I'm offering it at, this is the value I'm giving to you. If you want that value in your life, come and get it. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to talk about
You
it.
have to talk about it. It's not that you pick now 20 chickens and then now you sit there and then you wait now mtu wa kiosk sasa ama mtu anapita tu hapo kuja kwambia mko na mayai, okay, sasa nataka. No, 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 no.
Meaning you can do this thing completely off grid.
Completely off grid, absolutely.
Okay.
100,000% off grid, and not just even for commercial purposes, but even for your own
Yeah.
subsistence.
Yeah.
If you eat eggs every day,
Yeah.
why not have chickens? If you have a
Yes.
whole family, maybe you have a family of 4, and all of them eat maybe two, 3 eggs, something like
Why
that.
not have your own
Why not
birds?
have your own eggs?
True.
Why not have your own chicken? Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
With 150 birds. Now these are the 150 broilers.
Yes.
If you have a ratio of 1 male to say 8 to 10 females, that's the standard industry practice. If you do that maths, you'll get that 130 of your birds will be females.
Yes.
Now, these 130 females are the birds that are laying eggs in your farm. Now, working with an absolutely dismal 65% productivity is not even something. If that's something you're getting on your farm, you should just close down.
Yeah.
65% is not a value you should be getting unless your chickens are maybe more than 1 year, 2 years going into that age. That's the only time you should be okay with this.
Yes.
But ideally, you should be getting 85, 90 in those ranges. Those are the ranges you should be getting. But let's work with our value of 65% to
Sake
account
of
for
mathematics.
everything that happens in that farm. So work with a 65%. So 65% means every day from these 130 females, you're getting 80 eggs. It should be 84, but let's you say 80 eggs, right? Now 80 eggs is 2.5 trays. And remember, this is with 65% productivity. That's 2.5 trays. Goes for 500 shillings to 900 shillings. So that means if you're able to sell at this price, this 2.5 trays, that means every day you're making between 1,250 to 2,250
Yes.
shillings per day, depending on the price now you've decided to sell it.
Yes.
Now, if you do the math for 30 days, this comes to 20, not 20 to 30 something 1,500. That's 2,500. And if you do this times 30, you get 67,500. Now, working with a 40% profit margin, let's say you, after all the factors, and remember with 150 chickens, you can still feed them on your kitchen waste, you can feed them on the plants that are in your garden, you can add the azolla, and then now you supplement now with the actual chicken. You can still free range these birds.
Yes.
Working with a 40% profit margin, that brings your total income at the end of the month to between 15,000 to 23,000. With 150 chicks, that's crazy money. And if you're able to do this and you're off the grid,
The better.
bro, yeah, you'll be making 15,000 off the grid is how much, man?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That can
Especially if you've invested in systems instead of electricity, you use solar.
solar,
If
yeah,
if in case of buying water, maybe you have a
a
borehole
borehole, yeah,
or you've harvested your rainwater.
yeah.
You get to maximize. You'll actually get more than the 15,000.
So this is our garage. As you can see, this is where we're supposed to be keeping these cars. We're supposed to keep them here, but instead what we've done is, because this is plenty of real estate here.
Yes.
You instead of keeping this house that all it does is give us shelter,
Yeah.
why not keep it here and let it bring us back money? So this is our garage, by the way. This is not some fancy space this is the garage where we're supposed to be keeping these cars. If you see here, there's chickens in here. Come with me this way. See here, there's, I don't know how many chickens these are. I think maybe they're around 30.
Yeah.
But these are 30 chickens literally sitting in our garage.
Yes.
And this is even, and you see there's a lot of free space. If you
Yes.
pan around here,
Yes.
you'll see that there's so much free space. I can put even 50 here. I can put even, yeah,
And
depending
this is space you would have wasted
we're just putting cars to protect them from the rain.
Yes.
Yet when the people who are making the cars, when they created them, they already created them to be rainproof.
True.
Yeah.
And if you need to cover it, you can do a shade.
Yeah, you can do a shade ama ufunike na karatasi ama utafute kitu ingine. But this is so much valuable real estate. And you know, sometimes you go and visit people and you see their farms or you see where they live and you start thinking, wow, this is so much space. You can keep chickens here. Yeah.
But this is smart thinking.
Yes, yes.
How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing this for about, I think this is going to be about our 10th year now.
Okay.
This is our 10th year, yes.
Okay. So you're very knowledgeable around
Yeah,
this.
yeah. By the time I'm telling you this, we've
Yes.
learned, we've failed, we've come back so many times that now what we're giving you is information that is sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proven and tested.
Proven, tested and proven, yes.
Okay. Pole. Ai, hawa watu wanataga
Bokadoba. Wapi kitabu tulikuwa tunaandika nini?